For this part of the lesson, this is a very simple calculation that we need to do. And you're gonna have to, when you go to pre-cal, you will have to convert radians to degrees and degrees to radians. But what is a radian? A radian, let me just put this. Now we'll cover these in a bit, but a radian is the ratio, okay, of the intersected arc right here of the central angle to the radius, okay? That's what we call a radian. So a degree is simply a unit of measurement for angles, okay? We use degrees in geometry, and we're gonna keep using them in trigonometry, pre-calculus, and calculus, okay? And even for those of you who want to become engineers, you're gonna probably keep using radians when you are creating your models or your whatever it is that you create. So this is not very complicated, so it might look very complicated right now, but it's really not. The only thing that you have to remember is the formulas, okay? If I'm converting radians to degrees, then radians and radians need to be on top and bottom so they can cancel out. If I'm converting degrees to radians, then degrees have to be the ones on top and bottom so they can cancel each other out, and I end up with just pi radians, okay? So for example, if I want to convert, you have to read what they're asking you here. So it says here to convert the radian measure to degrees. So that means that they will give you something in radians. You will have to use the formula, and then you're gonna round your answer to the nearest hundredth. So you're gonna need 2 decimals. So then you're gonna write here 3 times 180 degrees over pi radians. And you're gonna see how the radians are gonna cancel out without the pi, okay? The pi is not gonna cancel out. It's just the radians. Now, sometimes you will probably be given like 3 pi over 4. And so in that case, radians, right? So in that case, the radians will cancel out and the pi will cancel out. But in this case, this 3 is on its own. If this 3 were to have a pi, I will also cancel the pi. But it doesn't, okay? So that's why I'm not canceling out the pi. Let me repeat that again. Let's say that these were to say 3 pi radians, then I will have to cancel also the pi and the radians. But in this case, the radians are the only ones canceling out because the 3 is on its own. It doesn't have a pi. So then I will multiply 3 times 180 degrees. That will give me 540 degrees. And then I will divide it by pi, okay? You can just use your phone to do that, or you can use a graphing calculator. A graphing calculator, if you have one, you can download an app online, or you can simply use the computer calculator. And then you're gonna end up with an approximation of 171.89 degrees. And that's really it for this part, okay? So let's do one more. And then I need you to pause the video and then go back to your handout and try the rest of the problems. And then come back to check your answers, okay? So 6 radians. Let me ask you something. Does this have a pi next to the 6? No. So do you have to cancel the pi? No, because it doesn't exist. So you will cancel just the radians, right? So we're saying radians to degrees. So if I'm canceling out the radians, it's very simple to find out what formula I need to use, because the bottom part also needs to have radians so I can cancel it out. So there's no way that you're gonna mess this up, especially if you understand that in order to cancel units out, you need to have them on the numerator and denominator. This is a fraction at the end. So we say 6 pi radians times 180 degrees over pi radians. We cancel the radians. We multiply 6 times 180 divided by pi. and then we get 343.77 degrees. Please make sure that you include the degrees. I will take points off if you don't include degrees in the exit ticket and in the test, okay? You need to be specific. If you tell me 343.77, what are you talking about, right? Like if you don't assign the unit, it could be anything. It could be chocolates, it could be shoes, it could be, I don't know, whatever you want to name this, okay? So make sure that you put the units. So pause the video and then go to do the problems and then come back. All right, so hopefully you paused the video and then did it. These are the answers for 2 radians. These are the answers for the rest of the problems. Okay, so now we're gonna do it the other way around. And the other way around is basically the same thing. It's just that now you are converting from degrees to radians. So you have to make sure that you're using degrees top and bottom. Okay, so we're gonna use here, you're giving the degrees, but now instead of having the radians on the bottom, you're gonna have them as the numerator. So we're gonna say, in this case, 121 degrees times pi radians over 180 degrees. And the degrees will cancel out, and you will simply have to simplify the 121 over the 180. Okay? So in this case, none of them have a common factor other than 1. So that's why we simply leave it as 121 pi over 180. And the degrees are gone because now everything is in radians. And this is the convention to write this number. You leave the pi next to the numerator and then over the number here, 180. And then you leave the radians kind of on the side, okay? So for this one, it will be 85 degrees times pi radians over 180 degrees. What does cancel out here again? Hopefully you said degrees. The degrees cancel out and you end up with radians. So in this case, 85 over 180 have common factors, okay? I will start with the one that makes the more sense to me. I will say 85 divided by 5, okay? 5 seems a common factor between 85 and 180 because one of them ends with a 5 and the other one with a 0. So 5 could be a common factor, and it's actually a common factor. So if I divide 85 divided by 5, I will get 17. And if I divide 180 divided by 5, I will get 36. And between 17 and 36, there are no common factors other than 1. So that's what I want to get to, okay, to simplify the fraction basically. And that's all, okay, that's all. So go ahead and pause the video right here and then go back and finish the rest of the problems. So hopefully you did that, and now you can check your answers. It's really not a lot of, like process to do these, a lot of procedures other than just simplifying and then making sure that you are simplifying correctly, and then everything should be fine. So that's the rest of the problems, the rest of the answers.